Hi, my name is Louis Perkins, and I'm the president at the Apparel Impact Institute. And this video is a short video that gives you an executive summary or overview of the solutions that we're going to be presenting. We have a longer video we prepared with our team that goes into more of a description of these two solutions, the Climate Solutions Portfolio, as well as the Fashion Climate Fund. So today I'm going to talk a little bit by sharing some of the screen of that larger presentation, again, just as a high-level overview. And to learn more, please watch the longer video. So with that, what we believe is that Science-Based Targets Initiative for the fashion industry, which is calling for 45% or greater CO2 emission reduction in the supply chain by 2030, is ready for speed, scale, in order to achieve impact. And the only way that we're really going to do that is really supercharge this work. And so we've come up with a pretty bold and ambitious strategy that the industry needs to be a part of. So we want to invite you all into this work. We're presenting this in partnership with Textile Exchange, Sustainable Apparel Coalition, and ZDHC, but we're also part of a larger group of organizations, the Fashion Conveners, which is looking closely at many of these programs, so that aligning this with the work of the conveners, groups like UNFCCC's Fashion Charter, the Fashion Pact, GFA, Global Fashion Agenda, are critical to this work. So that being said, AII was founded through the work of the industry, who wanted to scale impact solutions against environmental impact and social. Our funders came together 3.5 years ago to help get us launched, and we've been building that list of philanthropic and government grant makers who help support this work, matching the funds of the industry to scale solutions, and looking to partnerships out in the supply chain, or NGOs, membership associations, technical experts that can actually present best practices and solutions and help get those scaled in the supply chain. So we bring these three stakeholder groups together. Our vision for 2030 is to supercharge this, to really get everyone who's actively working on a solution or part of the change towards reaching science-based targets by 2030 to be a part of this work. And in order to do that, we need to create greater visibility and greater engagement. So what we believe is lacking currently is that industry players don't often know which programs, first of all, what it's happening, where these programs, solutions, innovations are, what's the data, do we know that it reduces carbon, has it been tested, has it been piloted, do we have proof points, what is the economic model, who are the partners in place in the countries to scale the capacity of that project work. So it's a lot to sort through if you're a manufacturer, and certainly even a brand retailer. So we need to have greater coordination. We need to help defragment the multitude of initiatives and bring them more closely aligned, and provide some kind of vetting or proof point to say this is what a quality program looks like. Funding challenges then exist because every one of these initiatives is being funded by different partners, oftentimes in competition with one another. There's not a real coordinated funding approach, and the funding life cycle is short, which gets us back to the challenges for nonprofits, NGOs, innovators that are looking for capital in order to get their solutions out there. They're constantly fundraising, and renewing grants year over year, asking for corporate participation year over year budgets, not a long-term lens or view. We think that has to shift if we're looking at trying to reach a goal by 2030 and subsequently the carbon neutral, carbon positive goal of 2050. We need longer runways, and we need more participation in a coordinated roadmap that is actually operationalized. So AII is currently identifying funding and scaling solutions, but we want to supercharge this work. We want to align it with the work we've done with the World Resource Institute on identifying where the carbon exists, and look at not only a materials approach, but also an energy approach to this work, from tier 4 up to tier 1 in the supply chain. And we're currently running a number of programs out there, but again, we need not just 10, we need thousands of programs and initiatives and pilots that are running in the supply chain. So moving beyond the origin of the programs that we are running, Clean by Design, our carbon leadership project, and some of the renewable energy pilots we're getting launched, we want to identify all of the solutions that are out there and help bring resources to help get programs to scale or have greater visibility for the industry, for funders, and certainly for program partners. Again, we think that solution is going to give us the way to agree upon as an industry, what are the proven solutions? What's turnkey? What's ready to scale? Where do gaps exist? Where is the white space? And how can we apply diversified funding to scale the programs that are scale ready with blended capital and potentially to be catalytic around some of the innovation gaps that exist? And obviously, to build capacity on export resources in every country and every market and every product type, we need more resources to get this work out there. So it's going to require funding and it's going to require coordination. Moving into a climate solutions portfolio, we think is the approach. This is a registry of programs that has visibility to the market. We are going to present more with you about this in our larger presentation, but I think just as a whole, the vision is greater visibility, agreed upon established criteria, getting industry commitments to this work, and then increasing the capital, helping to de-risk some of those early stage solutions and bringing in green bonds, funds, bank lending, and really help accelerate this work. So AII sees that supercharging our organization and the work as a whole is in partnership with brand retailers, manufacturer suppliers, qualified implementation programs and partners, anyone running an impact project out there, an innovation or solution that needs to get this tested and scale ready. And obviously the donors, the philanthropic partners that are incentivized to help address climate and are working on that with us. So again, we see that bringing programs together into a process with expert advisory, vetting those programs and putting them into a pipeline from early, mid to late stage is the purpose of this climate solutions portfolio, almost an accelerator, incubate and accelerate these programs. So being bold is then taking this vision and putting money beside it. So what we're going to aim to do is actually grow toward what we believe is the opportunity to unlock $1 trillion in capital over the next 28 years to 2050 to carbon neutral. But what that means is let's get started. So what does getting started look like when we talk about funding? It's certainly not to get started with the trillion, but it is to unlock 2 billion. And we think we can do that through a fashion climate fund that is an aggregate of philanthropy, government grant, and industry dollars of 250 million that will help unlock a total of 2 billion of capital towards reducing carbon by a minimum of 45% over the next 8 years. So in doing so, the 2 billion, as we look at using our recent research and reports, could unlock 150 million tons of carbon removed. If we can demonstrate this works, we can go bigger than this amount, but certainly we want to get started with what we think it can look like. So we would see the funds aligned over early, mid, and late stage development, and different forms of capital are going to be applied in different ways. So here what you see is that early development is catalytic. That's a large part of where philanthropy comes, 40 million to pre-seed, 60 million to pilot phase, inviting companies to be a part of that, manufacturers and suppliers, part of those pilots, modeling that out in different industries, different sectors, looking at different regions potentially, and that requires a certain amount of debt and equity to start to come into the mix. And ultimately, the largest investment and the largest opportunity is for full blended capital, removing some of that philanthropic because we now have proven solutions that are scale ready and really allowing the markets to scale those and providing the right forms of capital to those suppliers who will be taking on a lot of that investment need. So 100 million in philanthropic funds is where we want to start. 10 players at 10 million each over 8 years is a great way to visualize this, but then that's going to be matched by industry. So imagine 150 million coming from brand retailers. If we had 10 players, 15 players at 10 million over the next 8 years, we'd have our industry players there. And again, this is a volume game. So the larger the player and the more ability to be able to put those funds in year over year over the next 8 years is going to help us also unlock and invite and recruit manufacturers into this work. And so manufacturers make up part of that as well. But ultimately, then we're catalyzing debt and equity. Again, as I said earlier, we see it as philanthropic, industry funds, and debt and equity. And part of what we're doing is the $250 million that we do with philanthropic and government grant matching brand retailers. So really the presentation is going to lay out for you this idea of bringing in 10 partners on philanthropy and 15 partners on brand retailers at the $10 million over 8-year level. But we obviously know that there's going to be a diversified approach to this, and we want to accept partners wherever they are in their journey. So we're asking for leadership, and we look forward to telling you more about this work. We need everyone on board. We see this as a non-competitive, but rather extremely collaborative initiative for the industry. Thank you so much for listening. And please go look at the larger presentation, which is about 20 minutes, which describes more and has a much more robust deck behind this work. Thank you.